Welcome. We are here, HHC episode number 4. It is Sunday. Good morning. Happy New Year to everybody. We kind of we had two shows that we kind of glazed right over Christmas and New Year's. So happy holidays to everybody who's joining in on us. We are Chris, Jake, and Josh. We are Heroes in Half Court. We're here today to break down the past week that we had in San Antonio Spurs basketball, and then give you guys a preview of what's coming next. So let's kind of jump right into it. We kind of had a little bit of a rough go, but also at the same time, something that we kind of expected at the beginning of the preseason. Aptly named the episode. Pop said there'll be days like this, So we went 0-3. We went 0-3 for the week, but we got a lot of new information and kind of learned a little bit more about our team. So let's kind of get started. Our first game from this past week was we had our game that we played against New Orleans. So let me pass this over to Jake. So Jake, set the table up a little bit for our evening in New Orleans.
Yeah. So we played against New Orleans as our first game of this last week, and we lost to them 95-98. Our leading scorer that day was Rudy Gay with 22, followed by Lonnie at 16, and DJ and Keldon contributed a solid 14 and 13 respectively. Something notable that you can see is that DeMar went 3 for 12 that night, and LaMarcus went 2 for 7, as well as LaMarcus only played 20 minutes and did not play much of the fourth quarter, if not any, if I'm correct. Going to the Pelicans, their leading scorer was, of course, their all-star Brandon Ingram, and then followed by Zion, who scored 18, and Lonzo, who scored 16. Sorry. It's pretty noticeable that they only had 8 players play throughout that entire game, and JJ Redick went 1 for 8 that night. So
0 for 6 and 3-point line too.
Mm-hmm.
Dang. So I mean, when you look, we're looking at New Orleans right here in front of us. It's kind of expected that Ingram is going to get a lot of touches, a lot of minutes, a lot of points. Kind of the same thing with Zion, but okay, so when you see Bledsoe only scoring 7, JJ Redick not not doing much out there. We still had a lot of things on our end that kind of just stood in our own way, and it was a pretty rough night. I think we would all agree that it was a pretty rough night, like most of the night during that game. So let's just kind of open up our thoughts a little bit. What do we think was kind of some of the reasons why we kind of struggled. So I have a question. So far this is LA's only game, or how many games has LA played in with us?
I thought he played the first 2, right?
Okay. Okay.
The first 2.
I couldn't remember if he sat out for Memphis and then joined us for.
No, yeah, I think he played first 2, and then he's been out the last couple games.
Well, I mean, so did he play against Memphis and Toronto?
Yeah.
So he played 3 games then, because he played against New Orleans. Okay. Yeah. So that's obviously he's been one of the guys that we're looking at because he's our starter. He takes up a lot of cap room, takes up a lot of minutes, but also he didn't play with us during the bubble. So I'm just it's been tough to try to see him get into rhythm, and then we didn't see him suit up against LA. So I don't know. That kind of stuff sticks out to me a little bit about when we knew we were going to have struggles. This is what we're talking about. You know what I mean? One of our big pieces just not being able to be a part of us yet. You know what I mean? But other than that, some of the things that I saw, it just felt like we were just we're just kind of sluggish. We're just still getting our rhythm. We're still trying to figure out how to get the ball to the right people. And a lot of that showed through the first game in LA too. But overall, just kind of sloppy for me. Is there anything specific that kind of stuck out to you guys as to why we couldn't get going most of the night?
No, free throws. It's I hate to put a game on. I guess I won't put it on the refs, but man, we got like you saw Brandon Ingram's. I think he had 10 points from the free throw line because if you look at their stats again, him or Zion didn't have a good night shooting the ball either. But they were just living at the free throw line, and that killed us. And that's us too. I think Jakob got put in foul trouble early in that game, so they killed us at the free throw line, and that's something we need to do a better job of. I guess keep on attacking, even though we're not getting these calls. We can't let it up at all. We got to keep on attacking those guys, whoever it is,
For sure, for sure. They had a total of 29 free throws, and we only had 8 free throws that night. So
Yeah,
that's a huge contribution. If you cut their free throws by 2 or 3, and you give us those 2 or 3 free throws, then this is a tied ball game. So
yeah, makes sense. I will ask the question. I will ask the question like, I don't know, because I've heard a lot of talk over the past couple of days about just like discrepancies between free throw attempts between Spurs and their opponents, and just the overarching discussion of like, do the Spurs get treated differently? And people fall into whatever camp they want, but it's like, do we put ourselves in those positions? You know what I mean? So that's like been one of my biggest fears about this year, about like kind of going small all the way, is when you have people out there that are that little, you're putting yourselves in mismatches like just automatically. You know what I mean? And so I don't know. A lot of the things that I saw both in the New Orleans game and we'll get more into it when we talk about LA, but it's just us starting off the possession already in a mismatch, and so our guy has to bleed over, which leads to the pass, which leads to the other pass, which leads to the open shot. Repeat that 30 times during the game, and like you've given up a lot of open shots, So that's just something that like I don't know, like what are we? We're just gonna have to commit to the helper helping, and then the helper helping the helper.
On a lot of those, I feel like we've done a good job on getting back. Like you're saying, the pass to the pass to the pass. Like our guys are flying around. I feel like we're getting there. Like the 3-point shots that I see, they're not they're just like breakdowns. Like when we do that, when we get back, it's like good. I feel like our rotations are good, and then a lot of the open shots that these guys are getting, it's like miscommunication more than like not getting back to where you were, like between just two guys, not the movement, but just a simple screen and someone's wide open. Little things.
I'll talk more about that on during the Lakers game in terms of like getting back on defense, because like what you're saying right now, like I get it, but at the same time, like there were too many shots at the Lakers game that I saw where Anthony Davis just gets a free layup in, and I hate seeing that. So
can you switch over to the Pelicans players real quick?
Sure thing. But for me, I just wanted to point out on the Spurs side that like not really anybody was knocking down their shots like as consistently. Though the only person that was Rudy, but at the same time, as much as I love Rudy, I don't think I want to see him shooting 20 shots while the rest of our players are not. So
you can go back to the Spurs and real quick while you kind of talk about that.
And it's just like like not many people were scoring crazy. Patty was only 3 for 6. DJ had a solid 6 for 9, and Keldon was 5 for 10. But like Lonnie being 6 for 14, Mar being 3 for 12. Like I understand why Rudy did get off a couple more shots than usual, but these are the kind of nights that like I'm kind of hoping I don't see Rudy Gay be the one that finishes off the game with 20 shots. I want to see Lonnie chunking up those extra 6 shots or something.
I wonder what Rudy shot in the first 2 games. This was our 3rd game, so
this if I'm correct, this is like the only game that I've seen Rudy like go above like 15 or something like that.
Well, because I know the last Lakers game he took 16 shots, and that was one of my gripes. I'm like, he took, the same thing. I don't want Rudy taking 16 shots.
So like I've been trying to see like is like what is his position going to have to be, and so far like I mean. I feel like he has to do a lot defensively. Like he's been having to guard a lot, you know what I mean? Like a lot of the 4s and 5s. Excuse me. So I don't know, like, is it just like a thing of like,
these early matchups.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like an early matchup thing that's getting him a lot of these extra looks, or if like he's having to kind of take some more, because sometimes it's like, okay, if you have a big defensive assignment, that can kind of bleed into your like it can take away from like your offensive production, and maybe like they're trying to okay, if you're guarding Zion, we have to make Zion work. You know what I mean? So if we're swinging the ball out and Rudy's catching these balls with open jump shots, you have to take them. You have to get Zion to run out at you. You have to get Adams to run out at you to keep the defense honest, kind of thing. And like, yeah. And the reason I asked that question is because there, aside from the first LA game where I felt like his shot selection wasn't very good, I feel like he hasn't been doing too much of like just like forcing up jump shots or like. That one game would be the only one that while I was watching, I was like, I don't know if we need him taking a contested jump shot with Anthony Davis closing out on him like five times. Like the ball's barely getting past AD's fingertips. Like that is something where it's like, all right, throw the pump and pull up for an open two, or like just keep moving the ball or whatever. But
for sure. And when I look at the bench lineup, like I'm Patty's a 3-point shooter. Devin is still a rookie. Jakob's not a scorer, and then Trey only got 6 minutes. So Rudy at the moment, he was the scorer off the bench. So I'm okay with him getting the most shots coming off the bench. Like I understand why that is the thing, why that would be the case with him, right? But it's still like I mean, he went 2 for 8 from the 3-point line. So maybe I think what I'm trying to look for from Rudy coming into this like next week and stuff is maybe just more consistency.
Yeah.
That's what this week showed me from him, at least. Is I want to see him knock down a couple more open shots than what he's been doing.
I would say the same, because it seems to me like he's going to get opportunities. You know what I mean? Like that shit, like especially if he's going to be out there playing a lot of 4 and a lot of 5, he's going to get a lot of opportunities against bigger dudes to kind of either space them out and get good looks, or to try to break them down a little bit and get to the rim or whatever. So I think if we can just see some good percentages from him, I think we'll feel way better about a 15, 16 shot game if he's making 8 or 9 of them. You know what I mean?
Well, 9 for 20. I mean, it's not like he shot bad that night. That's right around the 50%. It's just that 3-point. Obviously, he took 8 threes. He only knocked down 2 of them. He was 2 for 2 from the free throw line. So he had a okay night shooting, percentage wise. And honestly, I can't remember what all of Rudy's shots look like. As far as you were saying, good shots, bad shots. So I can't remember in the New Orleans game, at least.
Well, and so like he's scoring 22. And then you got like Lonnie Walker as our second leading scorer, and I'll be honest, man. Like first of all, we're loving all the things that we're seeing from the young guys, but like out of DeJounte, Lonnie, and Keldon Johnson, as explosive as Lonnie Walker is, he also is pretty timid, in my opinion, in terms of like the times that he determines when he's gonna like shoot the jump shot on an open pass and stuff.
The 3, he does that on 3 for me.
Yeah, exactly.
And he knocks him down too. Like he's a good 3-point shooter, and he's proven that he is. A lot of the times he'll make that pass, or he won't shoot it right away, man, and it drives me nuts a little bit.
So like when it comes to like this game. It just felt like not only if Lonnie Walker is our second leading scorer out of all of the guards too, leading guard, but he's kind of passing up some of those shots. That's kind of how I felt about like this game in general. Like I don't know if it was Steven Adams, if it was Zion or Ingram or what, but like, and it bled into the LA game for sure. Like we were catching the ball, and then instead of like, I don't know, either we just weren't, maybe credit the defense for just like not giving us a lot of lanes, but or maybe credit we just like weren't willing to try to go and take those lanes, or take a small opening and make it into a bigger opening or whatever. But it just felt like we just weren't determined to kind of get to the basket, and maybe that's what contributes to lack of free throws.
Yeah, I will say because this was the game that had that poor offensive play right at the very end of the game. I completely agree with what you're saying on Lonnie being a little too timid, because like I heard a couple people like talking down on like DeMar for taking that bad shot, but I think that was more Lonnie not wanting to take that first 3-pointer. I feel like he had a wide open look right at whenever he got the ball passed to him, but he pump fake, drove, and then had to just throw it away to DeMar for that.
No, he should have took the layup.
Yeah,
he should have taken.
well,
I feel like he had the wide open 3.
Well,
But
even Pop said that he, we should have took the layup and played the foul game. That would
at that point, yeah. If you're gonna,
whenever he was there, and it was Lonnie running like in the lane by himself, like he was by himself. He could have laid it up, and he would have knocked down that layup 100 out of 100 times. You know,
and that's
the foul game in that position.
I think obviously, it was an ugly possession.
Yeah, it was.
And but I think most of us see it as like one of those like, all right, well, we have to learn to be okay with losing some of these games in order to learn some of these lessons.
You saw the youth for sure right there.
As a growing pain, exactly.
Exactly. Exactly. So I mean, but yeah, and also I feel like the inbound pass. I feel like if the inbound pass would have came in, I'm trying to replay it in my head. There's like one moment where like you see it, it's there, and he kind of waits, and then he gives it to him. It's like, all right, if we get that pass in quick, we have a shot right there at that open 3. But whatever. We move on. We move on. But I did feel like and this was out of all 3 of the games that we had this past week, this was the game that I was like in and out of while I was watching because I was doing some other things. But every time that I'm checking in, I'm like, man, like flow is not very good. We don't look very like, it felt like we were discombobulated most of the night. And that kind of bled in, for me at least, it kind of bled into LA. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. The next couple days we had New Year's in between, but we had 2 games versus LA. So Jake, kind of give us the rundown on that first loss we took to LA.
So this first game against LA, we came in 2-2. They were already, or we came in 2-1. They were 2-2, and we took a pretty. It was a pretty close game for the most part, and then it sort of kind of just like got away from us towards the end of the game. But we ended up losing 121-107. For the leading scorers on the Lakers, they had LeBron with 26, 8 and 5, and then Anthony Davis with 23 and 8. They also had Dennis Schroeder scored 20 for them, 21, and then Trez came off the bench and scored a solid 10 on 2 for 5 and 6 for 8.
Where's West, right? You know what West did that first game.
Yeah,
Where's
this is
he
also way down there.
Oh yeah, Wes
18
Matthews
points,
with
yeah.
18 on
God.
6 for 6, 6 3-pointers. So
at?
it was pretty nasty for them.
So Jake, would this be the example of us not playing very good rotational defense, or seeing West go off 6 for 6? Like you were mentioning our perimeter defense earlier.
So this stat line right here tells me that we had too many defensive breakdowns. There's too many times where and it could be miscommunication, it could be whatever, but like it was a defensive breakdown. At the end of the play, Wes Matthews is wide open for 3, got a clean look, bam.
Well, I know at least 2 of those 6 we were there, because one he knocked down in DeMar's face off a pump. He pumped. He took a dribble to his left, and DeMar was right there, and that's just knocked down. He's in the zone. I mean, once you give him a 2 or 3 at the, if he does get to them, like, then the defender doesn't matter as a shooter. You know what I mean?
So making the mistake on 2 or 3 of those 3, that's 9 points that's 9 points, but really it's indirectly leading to probably like about 15 of those.
Yeah, and then in terms of what Josh was saying and getting back on defense, like, yeah, we did it pretty okay a couple times, but man, especially during this first game, there were too many times that we would get the defensive board, run all the way down the court, make some shot that like maybe we could have found a better shot or something, but like, let's just say it was a 5-on-4 situation, right? And this is just something that I remember. Like, it was a 5-on-4. LeBron was just sitting back there, and instead of us taking advantage of the situation, we took some shot that just didn't look as good as it could have been, and they had a wide open,
The one that
they-
led to them
yeah,
throwing it back to
a
LeBron
full
for that
court,
dunk or whatever.
a full court
But
pass to
I mean,
LeBron.
we can't.
LeBron dunked.
If he's cherry picking us, there's nothing we can do.
No.
About
Yeah,
it.
well-
But what Jake is talking about is if you see him standing back there, recognize that it's a 5-on-4 and try to play that. And yeah, I would agree. Like during that specific sequence, we didn't do it. It's like we didn't.
I just feel like in those positions when it's 5-on-4, you have to push. So those decisions are coming like this. It's not like you're like it's going to be 5-on-4 the whole possession.
If it's
back.
5-on-4, yeah, you can push. But if you know that you're not going to get the greatest shot, especially because if LeBron's the only one that's sitting back and they have Anthony Davis on the floor, why are you going to attack the rim whenever you know Anthony Davis is a good shot blocker?
Well, it's just like in the heat of the moment, you attack and you keep a kick. You never know what's going to happen.
In the moment, but that's when our players eventually, you get a little bit smarter and you start to understand, right? Like either you attack and try and find the wide open player, because obviously if it's 5-on-4, one person's not getting guarded, so that means you attack and you space, right? And if you know you're not going to get that, reset the play so that, either you let LeBron run back to the floor so that it becomes a 5-on-5. You're not going to get cherry picked, or you find the wide open man again. Like that's instead of making a rush shot leading to an easy bucket for them, get a little bit of control.
I would like to see what the shot that we got off of that play.
Yeah, if you go, no, I don't remember it either, but I do remember like when you watch it happen, you're like, why would you settle for that shot in what you know is an advantage, which directly led to them just getting an easy bucket on the other side. Like and I agree with Jake because it's like that those decisions are happening fast, but also the longer you've been in the league, you recognize those situations.
Exactly what you were saying. Like we have to figure that thing out as far as the players.
But it's a little frustrating just because it's like that is not a very abstract concept. 5-person versus
basketball in general is not.
Well, okay, yes, but also just like okay. It was a very quick reminder of how that was a bad decision because it ended with like a wide open dunk like right away. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just like when you're in battle, you have the opportunity to either dictate or dictate the factors that you're playing in or fighting in, or not, or your opponent does. And in that moment, we could have said like, no, you're going to stay back there, LeBron. We're going to either make you come up here, like like LeBron looks like a fool standing back there if we pull it back and are running 24 seconds of offense on a 5-on-4 with the best player sitting back there by himself.
It goes both ways because how many times have you seen us score on a basket? Like, I mean, as far as LeBron's teams, because when he had Kevin Love in Cleveland, they do that off of made baskets as well. He gets that ball and they're throwing it, and Marc Gasol and Anthony Davis will chunk the shit out of that ball.
Yeah, okay, but that and that can be part of their philosophy or whatever. But again, off a made basket is a little bit different than we have the ball. Like we can dictate a lot of what's happening right now in front of us, and instead of like choosing to take the advantage in that moment, we didn't, and it just resulted in the opposite happening. You know what I mean? So. I don't know. Just there was a lot of little things like that that have been happening, and our goal is to clean those things up and to see less of them.
And like to continue on with that, I'd like to say that our transition defense wasn't pretty either. Like there'd be times where even if we did get a good shot off and it just fell off the rim on the wrong side, right? Like if that like that shot's going up, you're on the 3-point line and you see Anthony Davis or LeBron running down the court, you got to get down there and not let them get an easy half court pass. Like you cannot let that that easy transition bucket happen. It happened a lot these last couple games with LA, and towards on the second game we started to fix it. There were those times where you would see DJ, you'd see DeMar out there next to LeBron, where they'd make their full court pass and and there's DJ tipping it away to stop them from making that easy bucket. But it still happened too many times that I wasn't super happy seeing that.
Yeah, and
Seeing that
I'm glad that like
transpire.
after the New Orleans and like the first LA game, a lot of the talk from the players was just about like determination and will and effort and energy and like that kind of stuff. Because it did feel a little bit, and I agree. And we can kind of transition now, Jake, over to like that second game, because I do feel like we, in my opinion, from about the 4-minute mark of the first game, we kind of switched things up. And we didn't really talk before we get into that second one. We do kind of want to just also throw out our shout outs to Becky Hammond getting her
congratulations, Becky.
Getting her shot during that first LA game. And it would definitely be great to be able to take this season and maybe have a handful of games to pull of her running the show and kind of seeing what are some of the things that she likes to do, and like how do they differ from like what Pop is doing. Because I definitely think that a lot of San Antonio fans, but then probably just a lot of NBA fans in general, want to see her move into a head coaching spot at some point. So I think Spurs fans kind of feel we as Spurs community like to have those people where it's like, yo, if you just step into this role, we'll have you here forever. Like we'll put you here. So I think the Spurs fans see that Becky could probably be something like that. She's played with the Silver Stars and been around us for a long time, so it naturally fits in. So shout out to Becky for getting her shot on that first game. But all right, Jake. So what numbers are you looking at for the second?
Yeah,
game?
we didn't get to go over the Spurs stats on this first game, so I just want to real quick touch over that. DJ went 29, 7 and 7, which is a really good night for him. 12 for 19 shooting. Jakob did pretty well on 4 for 5 in his starting role. A little bit of foul trouble, but they had a couple touchy fouls here and there that
a lot that put us in the hole early.
It definitely made it harder for us.
Yeah, and that's why Becky got her shot, because Pop wasn't happy with the calls at all. Yeah, Pop was not happy, and I was not happy as well. I felt like DeMar in this game especially got a lot of, or didn't get no love at the rim. When we had that block on Trez, and he drove down and yammed on Trez again.
Yeah.
Like, that was a foul to me. He went right across his whole arms. And if LeBron, like I think Chris said, if LeBron goes and posters somebody and falls like DeMar did, dude, they're calling that a foul every single time. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous. DeMar gets no love.
But even then, DeMar finished 23 for 7 for 12 shooting and had 10 free throws. But I'd like to say that most of those 10 free throws came towards the end of the game, whenever it wasn't really like a benefiting factor for us. It was more of them just giving us some makeup calls.
Yeah, and I will say again, like, I'm a little bit on the other side of the spectrum. Like when I watched that first game against LA, it's like I see LA having all those big guys out there, and our young guys just not knowing how to break them down and kind of get, or you break one guy down and there's another big guy waiting on you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Sure,
sure. I just felt like it's going to be a tough order against a team like LA to try to get all the way to the rim. And we just have guys that are physically ready to go and like up to the task, but we got to get them there in terms of their development. Like Keldon Johnson is the one guy who, like, he's not afraid. He's not afraid, and he will try his hardest to get through. And he's the other end of the spectrum of Lonnie, where it's like sometimes you're like, Lonnie, I need you to just let the ball fly. And then sometimes you're like, all right, Keldon, like, you can't just run right in. We're gonna have to find that balance from everybody, So I'm a little bit more on the other end of the spectrum in terms of, like, I do think that there are times where we need to get to the line, and there's times where I think that there's fouls that don't get called, but I don't know, and also like Yak too, man, like. There's so many times that Yak gets real ticky-tack fouls, but they're stemmed from bad positioning, or just the fact that like somebody can change positioning real fast and he's a little slow to react, like versus his I don't know, like anybody being out to get him or anything like that.
Right. And one thing to note, one quick thing to note is that our starters shot decently. Sides like Lonnie on 4 for 12. That's not bad, but a couple more shots going in would have been a little bit better. And our bench players, we only really had three core bench players coming off. Devin only played 13 minutes, but I know half of those minutes probably came from like a little bit on the like just lower end of stuff. And
yeah, Trey Jones got his
Trey
season
Jones got
debut.
his NBA debut.
First 2 points in NBA, baby.
And Patty only shot 3 for 7, which wasn't bad. He gave us 12 points, and then Drew Eubanks 2 for 8, and at first glance I was like, man, I definitely don't want to see Drew Eubanks shooting 2 or 8 shots, right? 8 shots a game, but I'm looking at like how this game kind of finished, and I guess I can't be too upset about it because of like just like who we had out there. He kind of was he was the next man up, and we needed some shots from somebody. So
and he was, and most of his shots that he was taking were like those little hooks, those little like flat-footed or flat like shot put kind of shots right there close to the rim. I honestly like, he makes a lot of those, and if you could have just gotten like 2 more of those to fall. There was some that where he took some shots where it's like, all right, in terms of like the flow of the game and like where we're standing in the game, I don't know if I want you taking the shot right now.
Yeah.
So it's like,
sure.
if you're gonna take those shots, I'm gonna need you to make those shots, those little shot put, like those little 5-foot floaters or whatever. So even if you went 4 for 8, I mean, not that it's helped, not that it's I mean,
towards a win, but
yeah, but again, in the flow of the game, if
I wouldn't be mad.
if there was times, because that game we were constantly down about like 11 to 13 points, and then sometimes we would go on a semi run to kind of push it to about 5 or 4, and then we would like, okay, so imagine like that's what I'm talking about. We push it to about like 6, and then we get like a shot from Eubanks in the middle of the paint, and then that leads to like a 3-pointer on the other end or something like that. And it's like, okay, like, is this the best moment for like you to be taking that shot? In my opinion, like that's like where my head is at when I would see some of the shots that he was taking.
For sure.
Go ahead.
And then also Rudy Gay, another night of 2 for 7 from the 3-point line and 3 for 10. Like I said earlier, I am looking for a little bit more consistency from Rudy, and that's just about it from our team. Like we scored okay, but I feel like we really could have worked a little bit better on the defensive end. And this second game kind of shows of what we can do.
Yeah. So shift the numbers over there, and then if you want to run through like both teams up top, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, for sure. And in this next game, it was a whole lot closer. It was 109 to 103. This entire game was a very close game, and it wasn't until the very end that the Lakers started to pull away. And their leading scorer was Anthony Davis with 34. What can you do about that? Our team is not as big as Anthony Davis. That
one like behind the back dribble step into that 3-pointer was pretty sick.
Yeah, and like he's a superstar. What can you do about it?
Yeah.
You let Anthony Davis get his 34 points, but you have to work to not let the people like Wes Matthews, who only scored 0 points this game, by the way.
In 25 minutes.
Exactly. So I mean, you let the guys like Anthony Davis score 34. LeBron had 26, 10, and 11. He scored his triple-double. But, it was still a close game. It was still close enough for us to have taken the W, if not for the very end and how those events transpired. Even like Marc Gasol had 0 points on 20 minutes, Dennis Schroeder came in 15 pretty well as their third scorer, and Kuz had 11 off the bench for them. For our guys, DeMar had 26. Our good young buck, Keldon KJ the Mustang, had 26 in a career high. Double 26 and 10, by the way. Nice. On 7 for 11 shooting, so that's really good. DJ's been doing pretty good. I'd like to say that this was another game that like it wasn't crazy from 3 or anything like that, but he's still showing that he's improved a whole lot more from last year, especially coming off the injury and stuff. So Lonnie only had 8 on 4 for 9 shooting, but you can't. I mean, with the way that all our other guys were shooting, you can't really get too upset about him only having 9 shots. And then Rudy Gay had 15, which wasn't bad, but 16 shots, 6 for 16. Another night of 2 for 8 shooting from the 3-point line, and it's just another game that you have to say let's
See,
try to
and
see more
Derek
consistency from
Derek
Rudy.
was back this game, you know. So
Yeah,
I would
this
love
was-
to, even if you took 5 of those shots away from Rudy, I would love Derek taking. And I know he's coming back, he's trying to get back into the flow of things. But man, aside from Rudy taking those shots, I would love for Derek to take those shots.
So
or even if we can average Patty 10 shots a game. Patty needs at least 10.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I'd like to see Patty taking a good couple of shots, especially moving those up from
I'm
2
sorry.
to 3.
What did y'all think about Derek? Now that I talked about Derek, how did y'all think he played?
So getting right into that, like even though Derek went 3 for 9, 1 for 4, he had 9 points, 2 blocks, 2 really nice blocks, by the way.
Yeah.
An assist and a board. Like he's coming off an injury, but all the stuff that he did whenever I was watching him, like it looked good. It looked like he was already ready to come back and be the Derek White that we saw in the bubble, man.
Charged, right? A couple of charges taken too.
Exactly. And I'm very excited to see Derek again this year. Like he looked really good. He already looked like he was making that second unit, and like, just some of the more crazy guys kind of slow down a little bit. He was able to kind of ring everybody in and get everybody ready to go. But there was one little timeout where he's the one that's getting everybody amped. It looked like he was the one that was like, getting everybody's attention, saying, hey, let's get this stuff ready. So I'm really excited to see Derek coming into these next couple games.
Yeah, and unfortunately they announced that he's going to be out today.
Yeah, he won't be playing.
He won't be
playing today
toe.
Versus Utah. I will say, like, okay, I agree with what Jake was saying, like that he's just so smart that like he makes our team smarter, and whoever's out on the court with him, whatever lineup it happens to be, it's like you see their IQ points just like boom, boom, boom go up when he's out there. And defensively, he did look pretty. He did look pretty polished already in terms of just like finding I think like right away he got that good strip on LeBron. So like he does a lot of those things. I will say like I was a little surprised. 23 minutes. He's like right in line with everybody else on the bench. But and I agree that there was times before this game where it's apparent like, okay, this is a moment where we need Derek White out on the court. But like it surprised me how long that he played that much, only because like offensively there was just a lot of times where he was not really part of like what was going on in my opinion. Like he was still trying to find. I don't know if he was trying to find his legs or what, but even to the point where at the very end, I mean, he only had 9 shots, but like at the very end of the game, there was a moment where DeMar gives him the ball at the top of the 3-point line, and then literally White is like looking to the left, like trying to get DeMar the ball back, and DeMar is like trying to wave him, saying like, "Run it, like you run the thing," and he didn't even like. I don't know if he like didn't anticipate running it or just didn't like really want to run it, but it surprised me because like he was out there like all of the crunch time minutes, but but like when it came to like his offensive presence, I don't think he didn't really help us in like the whole end of the stretch that he was out there. So I would have to go back to watch like was he? I mean, he probably was out there for defense, but it's like, in a tight game we're trying to find those looks, and it's like. I want to have certainty at the end of games, even if we miss the shot. You know what I mean? Even if we, and so like the New Orleans game frustrates me because it's like get something off, do something, even if we don't get it right. Then when it came to this LA game at the end of the, with seeing White out there, I was like, is it best to have him out there if we're still having to answer questions on the fly right now with him on the court? It's like, what if we put somebody else in there who's been playing and kind of has just, like, hey, we're going to run the set. It's a close game at the end of the game. We're going to run the set. Sweet. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of more in rhythm. So like that part was like a little bit to me like, okay, did we need him out there during all of those crunch time minutes in a in a winnable game? I understand that we're trying to learn things, but again, like I think I watched Anthony Davis do his post game interview after this game, and he told I think it was like Robert Ory who was interviewing him or something. He said like, you know, we're still trying to figure out a lot of things, and we're still trying to get our timing down and do all this stuff. He's like, but it's good that we're able to do all those things and still get the win. You know what I mean? So I just felt like it was a winnable game, and so in my opinion, it's like, all right, did we need Derek White out there like all of those minutes towards the end? I don't know, Josh. What did you think?
I mean, well, we had people in rhythm, and we were talking about it the game before, or maybe not the game before, the previous game against New Orleans, and we didn't get a good shot off then, you know. So Derek, I like Derek being out there. We talked about this, I think, in episode 1, like our closing lineups, you know. And I can't remember who was on the floor with Derek, but I'm assuming DeJounte was out there at that time too. Like I love them both closing the game out, you know, that lineup. Like, but again, like little things just didn't go our way. I felt like it was close. It was a close game at the end, and maybe LeBron, maybe he pushed off a little on Derek. You know, he was there. He was in front of LeBron, and he iced the game. I think I don't know if he made it 109 or maybe 107 at that time, when he got that layup at the end. And then when he threw the ball away, I thought maybe LeBron should have deserved a tech too. If anybody else,
now, Josh,
if Keldon threw that ball away, you know, like in frustration or whatever, they're teeing him up quick. You know, they're teeing him up quick. So like just little things that didn't go our way, like, man, it just kind of frustrates me because I feel like we played a damn good game. Like everybody played great. In my eyes, you know, Keldon was knocked down. Like I don't think coming into this, you know, this year, like I saw him shooting like that many threes and that good of like you see his shot, man. They're like rainbows. They're like perfect. Like it's crazy. The arc is like great, and he's knocking him down. Like when he's wide open, like now he gives me that feeling, man. If I see KJ get that ball and he's wide open, I'm like, well, that's 3. Like, you know,
or at least you know he's not afraid to take it.
Yeah,
and the more that we see him shoot it, you're like, okay, I'm getting more and more faith in you in terms of, like you said, when the ball kicks out to him, you got that. You either have that feeling, right? That yes or that no.
And,
exactly.
And that's why I like when he's out there with anybody, like with Lonnie or with the guys that can get into the middle of the court, into the floor, and just suck that defense in, man. If KJ's out there, you know, that's great. That's money.
And getting tested against having to shoot those threes with Anthony Davis
over
running
AD,
at you is gonna bode well.
A lot
for
of
us.
them were with Anthony Davis right there, you know, and maybe it's like disrespect from Anthony Davis because if you watch it, a lot of those threes, he's kind of just like looking at him. He's not even, or maybe Anthony Davis, you know, doesn't have like, you know, any like scouting on KJ. Maybe he thought the same thing I did. Well, he's not gonna shoot them threes like that. And he was knocking them down.
Like up until like right at this year, I don't think anybody thought that KJ was gonna be this knocked down from 3. Like like it's only gonna make him that much more dangerous too. Because man,
he attacks everybody. He
attacks
everybody.
He does not care. And I think, you know, he's our leading guy in free throw attempts from this game at least. And like I honestly can't wait to see that day that like and this was one of those days that he had 26 because he shot well from 3 and attacked the rim and got his free throws. Like I can't wait to see that coming from KJ. Like it's gonna be beautiful because, like you said, you know, having like because I feel like he doesn't need the ball in his hands, right? So having somebody like Lonnie, DJ, even like Derek, you know, Derek's good off ball too, but like those 3 people, you know, having the ball in their hands,
help break down the defender and
just
give the ball to KJ.
Exactly, and either KJ can run in the paint and destroy who's ever under the rim, or he can, you know, not settle, but take a wide open shot.
And as Keldon, speaking on Keldon too, as we get going, I feel like he's only going to get better, right? Just throughout the season as well in his career. But I would say that the Toronto game I would say that Pascal right now is a little bit better player than him, and same thing for well, obviously Anthony Davis. But those are the guys that he's playing against. So I think that
Zion too.
yeah, oh yeah, Zion, yeah. So like going forward, there's going to be games where he has the advantage, and I want to see him take advantage, of the players that are guarding him, because it's rough. He dropped 26. I'm not going to say exclusively on Anthony Davis, but a lot of them were on AD, and he's having to guard him as well, guard Zion, guard Pascal, and doing that. So and a couple of these, and LeBron. So going forward, he's not always going to have these, big matchups. So I'm excited to see what he's going to do when he's that guy. And they're like, well, shit, I got to guard.
Speaking of like being that guy, it was cool to see. There was a couple times where he was telling Rudy Gay, like maybe it was because of like a foul situation or whatever, but he like instead of picking up on LeBron, he was telling Rudy like you get over here for now. You know what I mean? Like you take this brunt of whatever is about to happen. So it was cool to see that. And it's kind of interesting. We're talking about like Keldon Johnson like shooting those threes and like maybe AD not covering out because he's doesn't have the respect yet or whatever. But like that means that Keldon Johnson has to take those threes. You know what I mean? Like you have to make him respect you. And so I think that's kind of bleeds into my point, what I was saying earlier about like Rudy Gay. I think Rudy Gay is just playing a similar position on the floor. And right now, if you're one of those like power forward kind of players, you need to just like shoot the three to get those guys to step out on you. Mm-hmm. So we just need Rudy to knock him down a little bit more. I do want to ask. We had kind of talked about Derek White coming back for the one game, and I think we're probably going to be all in agreement, when it comes to this. But when he comes back, like where do you, once he's fully healthy, like where do you want to see him at? I know there's basically the two camps of like we want to see him out there playing and starting with DJ. Or I guess it would be like we want him out there starting with DJ. We want him as the starting point guard, or like we want him running the show on the bench. You know what I mean? So, so yeah, like Josh, I'm pretty sure we know where you stand. Go ahead and go first.
Yeah, like for the last 80 years, we've been watching Ginobili run the offense off the bench, and during pregame, Sean Elliott was talking about that, how he likes Derek White in the Ginobili role, and I totally agree. Like you say, Rudy was, Jake, you said that you couldn't be mad at Rudy for taking those 16 shots. Now looking at it, because he was the guy off the bench. Well, now Derek's that guy, or Derek will be that guy. So I want him to come off the bench, run the offense like y'all talk about, slow the game down for when it needs to be slowed down, and make those smart decisions and get his shots off when he needs to, or facilitate when he needs to. He's always playing defense. He's a great defender. He's only going to get better. He's still young. He's like one of our younger guys, but I mean, he's still young. So I want him to come off the bench, run that second unit. And then we talked about it too. Like whenever the game's tight, then I want him to be on the floor with the starters, with some of the starters. I guess I don't know who would be the odd man out in that situation. I'm assuming it would be Lonnie, because I would love to run DJ, Derek with DeMar and whoever at the 4 and 5. Probably Keldon and LA, Keldon and Yak, whatever.
Keldon is in any of these situations. Keldon's like starting to earn his minutes in terms of like, who do you sit? You know what I mean? Yeah, I would. Right now, it'd probably be Keldon.
I can't wait until we don't have to play him at the power forward. Like, who knows what DeMar is going to do? I would love to keep the guy, but if he were to, leave San Antonio, like we have our small forward for the future, man.
Or if we find ourselves where now all of a sudden we have that athletic stretch four, now we can slide KJ over to the 3 and have, you know what I mean, still have size and all the stuff.
And that's what I'm saying. If DeMar leaves and we have some cap, or we draft well or something like that, like we don't know what Lamar or LA is going to do. So that's potentially a lot of money, right? So that we could go out and get a player like that, or if we draft well, we'll see what happens. But as far as like small forward for the future, we got our guy.
Yeah. Jake, where do you stand on Derek White once he's back?
Honestly, like kind of like what Josh was saying. Like, I'd love to see Derek be the Geno of our future.
Hmm.
Because I feel like he can do everything. He doesn't have to do everything at an all-star level. He doesn't have to do anything at a star level, but he could do everything. And uh like he plays great defense one on one. He plays like a solid playmaking role. He can score decently well. There's nothing that you can ask him. Like, if you ask him to do something, it's not like it'll be 100% out of his comfort zone, because he does it all.
Right.
And I think that if he's off the bench with Patty, if he's off the bench with Lonnie or whoever, like I think that like those two as the guard lineups would be really good. And I'm looking at this right now, and he's not even 100% healthy, but he got 23 minutes, and DJ got 30 minutes, right? Like, if that means that our point guard is a locked in 48 minutes from DJ to Derek, I'm happy. Like, I can't be upset at that at all. And then, like, if like at the end of the day, now Derek's getting 26 minutes and DJ's getting 26 minutes because they're both just closing out the end of the game. Like, I wouldn't be upset at that either.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, Jake. I'll slide you out real quick so you can grab whatever. But yeah, I would agree. I would agree. As much as I, you want to see your players like get as many, have successful careers and get as many minutes as possible, and you want them to get as much shine as possible. I hope that we take the approach of like, we have the opportunity, kind of like Jake was just saying, we have the opportunity to have a very smart point guard running our offense for 48 minutes every night if we spread DJ and Derek White out.
Yeah, we talked about this. Me and Jacob did, right? In the Lakers rotations, it's like I think it was either or, right? So LeBron and AD would start, and then one of them would get their rest, and then as soon as the other, let's just say AD sat on the bench, and as soon as AD was set to come back in, then LeBron would get off the floor. So they had one of those guys on the floor at all times. Yeah. And me and Jake talked about that. Like, that's how we want Derek and DeJounte to be. We want one of them on the floor always.
Yeah, and
then together as well,
And then if for whatever reason, the starters are doing their thing, but maybe like DJ is struggling, or maybe we just kind of want to like give them a different look or something like that, then maybe you run the starting unit, but you swap them or whatever like that, and just give like the defense something that they haven't seen before. Because I mean, Derek and DJ kind of do a lot of things similar, but they're different players. You know what I mean? But I would love to see Derek on the bench, because I think, again, we were talking about like Patty Mills getting. I would love if Patty can be out there with Derek. Derek will make sure Patty gets 10 shots a game. You know what I mean? Yeah. And putting him in good positions, and maybe that'll help with Rudy's field goal percentage, and not having to like work so hard for his own shot, but just working so hard like with the ball in his hand for his own shot.
Yeah,
but, you know what I mean?
And Devin, right? We talked about where was Derek's minutes going to come from. Well, Devin didn't play at all.
Yeah, at all.
So whenever we get that situated, minutes wise, where is Devin going to fit in? That'll be a good addition to come off the bench with Derek as well. Have both of them coming off. Those are two big, long defenders. And Devin's shown that he's not afraid to shoot that three either. So if he's kicking out to Devin and he starts knocking them down, that's great too.
Yeah, and I think there's been 2 games where his first field goal of the game has been the 3-pointer. Right. That's where a lot of his opportunities are going to come from.
Right. And then that first LA game was in a crunch. It was late in the game whenever he knocked down that 3 on the wing. It was late. It was late in the game, and he brought us. I think he took the lead like into single digits with that 3. So.
Yeah, I think there was somebody like at the top, kind of like waiting for the passes too. If he gave it up, but he just shot it right.
Yeah, so I like that he's not afraid to take that shot at that moment, rather than just to look around and let me get this ball out of my hands.
Yeah, and also, we had kind of talked a little bit about like Lonnie being just being a little timid and still trying to figure some stuff out. So I just think that the more, if you can have Derek White out there, Derek White takes away a lot of that responsibility in terms of the decision making. So now, if you're Lonnie, do what you do best. Use your athletic abilities to get you in the right spots. To find a good lane to make a good cut, and Derek will find you. You know what I mean, or like those kind of things. So, I would agree. I think we're all in a I think we're all in agreement that we would like to see Derek, and it would help our depth. It would help our overall, just like how we function. Um, all right, sweet. So we've spent a good little bit. We've spent a good little bit kind of talking about the three losses we took. Let's kind of take a look forward now, and shift gears into the things that we're going to be seeing for this next week. So we are starting our week today, actually, later on today, against the Utah Jazz. So I wrote on here guards on guards on guards, just because we have hella guards and they have hella, right? So and obviously they have Rudy Gobert, but I think the story of the night is going to be like, all right, can we do our best? Yeah, can we do our best to kind of to maintain those guys? Yeah. So let me bring this back up.
Right, Chris, you talked about KJ not just going at everybody. Rudy's not a guy that you want to go at, because he'll throw that shot around a couple times throughout this game, you know. So he's gonna have to play smart down low against that guy.
But yeah, I will say, like, if Rudy is not, if Rudy Gobert is not on the court and KJ is, I want to see KJ attacking that basket the entire night.
Right.
Yeah. This is going to be one of our.
Does Derek Favors start for them at power forward?
I think so.
That's gonna be a good matchup. Derek Favors and KJ
and KJ. This is a veteran. You know what I mean? So this is a guy who I could definitely see him taking a few L's in terms of the speed and all that or whatever, but burning KJ a couple times.
Making a couple veteran moves to maintain experience.
Exactly, and it can happen. I mean, we saw at the end of the Lakers game, DeMar or somebody drives to the basket, and Keldon Johnson shoots in to try to get that tip, right? And he gets no. So I take it back. I'm sorry. Keldon Johnson shoots in on the weak side to try to get a block, and he gets the block, right, that late game. But Kuzma did a good job of just following Keldon, and as soon as Keldon got that block, Kuzma was there for that tip in, and that was like in the crunch time of the game. Yeah. So like that is an example of like an older person using that aggressiveness against Keldon a little bit, and making some stuff happen.
Kuzma isn't even a veteran.
Yeah, exactly, right. But just having a little bit of that experience. So, but yeah, so I can see Derek kind of getting the better of him a little bit. But yeah, so that'll be fun to match up to watch. Jordan Clarkson, I love watching Jordan Clarkson, man, because that's another guy he's not afraid of any moment. He can get hot.
He's San Antonio kid, right? He's a San Antonio kid.
Yeah. He went to high school at Wagner, I believe. And he's he talks a little trash. He's got some swagger. Like he's a super fun guy to watch. And then obviously they got Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Donovan Mitchell.
That guy's all right, he just drops 50 in the bubble a couple times.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That guy's okay.
I'm a huge fan of Donovan Mitchell. They just from watching him, like he's definitely he's only a 6'3" shooting guard, right? But he's definitely a guy who does not care of his matchup, and he's ready. Like he's ready to take on any type of matchup that we give him. So I can't wait to see what we'll do against him, because he's a great scorer. And then while we don't really have like the superstar guard for him to defend against, he's not afraid to go against anybody either. He'll go against the best player on both ends of the floor, no matter how good his defense is. And I give him a lot of respect for that, especially.
I will say I'm excited. Like, okay, so when I see a team like this and I see like Donovan Mitchell and Jordan Clarkson and to a lesser extent Mike Conley, just because of his age a little bit, but I mean he's still a very capable guard. And then plus some of these younger guards that I don't really know too well, Forrest and Harrison. And, but like I get excited when I see these, because I'm like, all right, now this is where we can flex on our strengths a little bit. I mean, even though Derek White's not playing, but I mean to be able to throw DeJounte Murray and Lonnie Walker and Keldon Johnson at people like every single night is fun.
Who is their starting lineup? Is it Mike? Is Mike started at point guard?
Oh yeah, for sure. If I can give you my best guess, it'll probably be Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Joe Ingles, Bojan, and Rudy. That's what I would say their starting lineup is.
Okay, so
If not
Bogdanovich is a power
Bojan,
forward.
if not Bojan, then Derek. I think
Yeah.
Joe Ingles is more their power forward, but I might be wrong.
Okay, so
But
I was
Joe Ingles can Joe Ingles is
he's knocked
literally
down.
like
He's knocked down.
yeah, he's a knockdown shooter, but he's a 1 through 4 guard. He can guard a point guard, shooting guard, small forward, and a power forward. So
You
that's
think he
something
can
that
guard? You think he can like stay with point guards for real?
I think in a half court set that he's able to. But they do have him like they use him as a very flexible
Yeah,
defender.
maybe 2 through 4. I don't know if he could hang out with DJ and him.
I love that. I love seeing DJ push the speed that one time where he just beat all the bigs down the floor.
And laid it up over
got
Montrez,
that-
right? You got the layup.
Yeah, got to layup. Yeah.
So do y'all think that maybe that if that DJ should start off on Donovan?
I
would say yes.
I hope DJ's guarding Donovan.
I would say yes.
Which, well, to be fair, not
a knock to Mike or anything. It's just that Donovan. I don't mean point guard, but Donovan is that guy. So I would love to frustrate him maybe at the beginning, not let him get going.
Oh yeah, no, I say DeJounte goes on Mitchell.
I haven't been able to see like his stat lines, but Mike Conley has been doing really pretty good these last couple of days too. So it's not like he's I'd like to say that. Yeah, I'd like to say that this Mike Conley this year is going to be.
Do we have any team stats on Utah?
For sure. Let's go ahead and look at the league the team leaders for them. So
Yeah,
Mike Conley's actually leading their scoring. So he's 21.4. You see Donovan Mitchell right here at just below 20, and then Rudy Gobert, at 16. Their rebounds, of course, are going to be by Rudy. They have I think he's more of a forward. Royce O'Neal probably their 2/3, and then a solid little forward and Derek Favors. Right now they have I wouldn't really look too deep into this guy scoring a perfect 100% from the field this year. But Rudy's at a solid 70 and Derek's at a solid 60.
There's a lot of layups down there for those guys.
Exactly, for sure, and a good old 100% for Joe Ingles and 90% with Jordan Clarkson on their free throw line. It's Mike Conley leading them in assist at 5.2 and Donovan at 4.6. Even Joe, who's kind of throwing the rock around for them. So you can definitely tell that this team is has a lot of ball movement.
Balance.
If we're seeing a solid 5 to 4,
especially like Ingles, because Ingles is passing more from like you swing the ball to the open shooter, and then now when the defense collapses on him, that's where his assists are coming from, like him driving and kicking or just swinging.
Yeah, exactly. And like I was saying, Donovan's not scared to be the defender for their team. So he's leading them in with 1.2 steals, and Mike Conley's always been a solid defender, so getting solid 1 right there. And of course, Rudy with their 1.2.
Yeah. So it's definitely looking like it's going to shape up to be like a Mitchell, Conley, Clarkson versus Keldon, KJ, and DJ. Hopefully that, well, I mean, and that's like the best part. It's like we talk about, or I talk about it, or I just talked about it like that. But that's not even mentioning like DeMar DeRozan. You know what I mean? Which is like a world class guard. So it's like I feel like we have the advantage in terms of our guards, just like having more proven ones than them. But then again, like. If you're a Utah fan, you're probably talking about your young guys.
I remember seeing some solid play from that Royce O'Neal player.
Yeah, Royce O'Neal. I was gonna say I remember that name.
Yeah,
and he's definitely he's a forward. Like I said, a forward/guard that I've seen. Like they'll throw him at some of the really good players. Like in the bubble, I remember him playing against some of the second best players on the team.
And how long has Royce been with them?
I would like to say this is his 3rd year with them, but I couldn't tell you.
Let's see.
To be honest.
Well, we're about to look right now.
And we can't forget about Rudy. Rudy and Yak is going to be big because we don't want Yak getting in foul trouble as well. We need him out there.
Which has been his knack, for more than just this season.
Yeah. So that paint, obviously Rudy's going to be down there, disrupting shots, blocking shots. So we're going to hopefully maybe Keldon has another good game from the outside, or somebody else. Maybe Lonnie or DJ or even DeMar. Man, DeMar's been knocked down. We didn't talk about his 3-point percentage this year, but he's shooting them. They talked about him making 9 3-pointers all of last season, and he's already made 8 this year in the first couple games.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully he keeps letting them bad boys fly. That way we have that spacing and or if they just sag off of him, let him go. He got to shoot him.
I would agree, and I'm super happy to see that. Like I think it was one of the LA announcers who was saying like, yeah, well he's looking really good on his on his 3-point shooting, and the other announcer was like, well, yeah, it looks like he's just taking a 2-pointer now, like it just looks like his other jump shots.
Yeah.
So yes, so I would agree when he has like that hop in his legs, when he's got that spring to it, like that he can knock down the jump shot. So it's like you feel pretty good about it, as opposed to last year, like when you get it's like almost you can feel the indecision a little bit, or like you have that indecision and you're kind of projecting it onto him a little bit when he catches the ball. So I'm glad to kind of have a better feeling about that.
He said that he hates that, right? He's like, I hate that people thought that I couldn't shoot. I just chose not to,
I honestly, I hope that's true. I hope that I know that any NBA player would say that, but I hope that's true. They'd be like, yeah, I can shoot it. O'Neal's been with the Utah Jazz since 2017.
2017. So
yeah, and prior to that, he was playing, I think, overseas.
Okay. Yeah, and like you said, this is a primarily guard / forward heavy team, right? Like Rudy Gobert is the one that holds it down for the centers and even like the power forwards, right? And then your star play, your offensive play comes from Donovan, Mike Conley, and then Jordan Clarkson, right? But that Royce O'Neal kid, he's also showed that he can play decently well. I think he's more of a solid little 3-and-D guy from them.
Mm-hmm.
He's shooting 40% from 3 right now, so that's good on their end at least.
This chart you're looking at, does it have minutes?
Does it have minutes? Let me look. No.
All right. Well,
maybe we can go to player totals.
And we'll definitely try to. That's okay. Well, but I would like for like future episodes. Josh had asked the question of like, what's their starting lineup, like just to have that ready.
For sure.
Like knowing who we're gonna expect to see on the court. But I would agree, like guard / forward heavy. I do think that we have enough to at least limit 2 of their guys between Ingles and Conley and Mitchell and Clarkson. If we can cut 2 of those guys out of the equation, and then just not let Rudy go off for, what did it say he's averaging 16. So if we can hold him to 16, I think that's okay. If we start to let Rudy Gobert go off for 20-something points, and he's grabbing 15 rebounds or whatever, then I think we might be we're putting ourselves in with like losable situations. But
Mm-hmm.
I think if we're keeping him to around his average, we're taking two out of the 4 guards out of the equation in terms of our defense and stuff like that. I think we should be have enough to get a win. Plus, I do think it's like when you go to the weight room and you lift 250 pounds, 225 doesn't feel as bad. So no offense to Utah, but I think that playing LA twice early is a big help for us. It's a good measuring stick and just a good challenge. So I do feel like we'll be ready for Utah. I'm pretty excited to see it tonight.
Mm-hmm. And this will be a very fun game to watch, honestly, because Utah always puts out a nice game against us, and I feel like this will just be another nice night of us seeing how our young players are going to play against a different team. Like this the beginning of the season was Grizzlies, right? And they only had Ja Morant, so I wouldn't really look too much into that, right? But then like the rest of those games, they've all been, their best players have been a forward or a center. This is our first game against a real superstar point guard / guard, like in Donovan Mitchell and even like Mike Conley, So I'm very excited to see what we're gonna do, what our guards are gonna do against these guys,
Yeah, because we talk about like Biggs production, and even like Keldon Johnson's numbers have to be a little skewed or do you have to just think about like what they're having to do defensively against all those bigs we've been playing so far? And now, even though Rudy's out there, and so is Derek Favors and stuff like that, but now we get to flip it a little bit, and it's like, okay, we have to see like what are the defensive responsibilities on our guards all night, and how does that affect like their offensive production? You know what I mean?
And going on to KJ, like like I was saying on their roster, like we're talking about Derek Favors, but I feel like their starting power forward is probably going to be Bojan right here, and he's not your typical power forward. He's a shooter and doesn't
For some
play.
reason, I thought he played the 3. I mean,
He looks like he might be like at some point they might put him in that.
For sure.
And that's what I thought, because I thought Joe didn't start. I mean,
no, I'm sure. Either way, I know that at some point in this game we're gonna see KJ versus Joe, or we're gonna see KJ versus Bojan, and that's gonna be a different game for him. He's not gonna have to go against. Obviously, Anthony Davis is the one guy who can do it all, but like we're gonna see him going against a 3-point shooter, a guy who runs off the ball, and we're gonna see how good KJ can do defensively.
I would love to see KJ just like burn somebody.
And I think that is strength as far as like then guarding some Anthony Davis in the post.
On offense, we're gonna get to see KJ be bigger. We're gonna get to see him be stronger than the guy that he's going against today, unless it's Derek Favors. But
who do you think is going to stand out this game? Do you think it's going to be KJ then?
I think he could. I think because Mike Conley's still a good defensive guard.
Yeah,
Mike Conley's still a defensive guard, and Donovan Mitchell's not a bad defensive player. Jordan Clarkson a little less than them two, but like their forward play, other than that Royce O'Neal, like it doesn't look like they don't have like a strong defensive forward on their team.
Yeah.
So
at one point Joe was locked down, right?
This could be. Yeah, and Joe is still a good defender, but he's getting up there. His lateral quickness probably getting a little bit slower, right? And so this could probably be a game for either one of DeMar or KJ.
Yeah, I would say the same too. I would say DeMar. I would say DeMar, maybe even DeMar first, just because the idea of Keldon Johnson expending a lot of energy defensively with DJ to try to stop some of these other guys. I think that could lead DeMar to have a good night. But also Keldon Johnson just has the motor to be able to like defend all night and still put up some good numbers. And again, if he gets open for a couple threes early and hits a couple of them, now that's opening up the rim for him and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I definitely can see. I would say DeMar is my number one as like who could pop off for tonight, and then Keldon as number two.
For sure.
But all right, so let's push on past these guys. Do you want to like say up top real quick? Do we think we're getting the win or loss now, or do you want to wait till the end before we'll just give our predictions for the week?
Let's preview these just during the week, and then we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that works. All right, so then 2 days later, so 2 days from now, we will go to LA and we will play the Clippers. So let's just real quick kind of take a look at their stuff. Obviously, they have they've been going through like their injury with Kawhi Leonard with his jaw, or his I guess it's his jaw, right?
Yeah,
I think it's just a cut in his mouth, right? It said a laceration. Or did he get
maybe to be honest, I only saw the hit, and then I saw the mask. And then I saw him, and then I saw him say that they were going to trade
Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka.
I'll take him.
But yeah, so again, we'll be right back at it, going against one of the top teams in the conference, one of the ones that has like all of the expectations, right? So, what are go ahead, Jake?
Just some notable additions. We already talked about Serge. Serge can. He's been playing that Trez role, but a little bit better because he can space the floor, and not to say that he is a way better player than Trez, but he just fits with this.
He's a better shooter. He's a way better shooter than Trez.
He fits better than what Trez did with this team. So he's a notable addition, as well as a player like Luke Kennard. I know I'm sure a lot of people don't really know too much about him because he was in Detroit. He didn't, he got a lot of just like minutes just doing his thing over there, and it wasn't really like anything spectacular. But now he's playing a guard role that's
meaningful minutes every night.
Yeah, meaningful minutes. That's gonna lead to to a contending team, and he's not been playing bad. He's been playing good. He's a solid shooter.
And anytime that you are alongside the guys like Paul George and Kawhi, like your responsibilities doesn't have to be as high. So
exactly, and he plays solid enough defense to make him not a liability out there. So he's definitely a notable thing. I don't know how much time Nicholas Batum's getting out there, but he's another veteran on their team that they added, and that can go ways in terms of
yeah. Well, what
they do out there.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna say scroll down to the rest of their roster, but then also if you want to look at we can look at their minutes too and kind of see here in a second.
So obviously, if we can give a starting lineup out there, I would like to say probably Reggie, Paul, Kawhi, Marcus, and Zubac.
I think Pat starts.
Does Pat start? Then maybe it's Pat over Reggie. I don't know.
Okay. That seems about right. So then, if they have Zubac out there, are we starting? Or well, obviously with LA, if LA is going to be out still, we'll probably have Yak out there.
Mm-hmm.
So then, this is going to be pretty tough because it's not like LA's. It's not like LA Lakers. It's not the Lakers big men like having Morris and Kuzma and who else do they have out there? Those type of bigs. Instead, it's like having Kawhi Leonard and Paul George out there at the same time.
Yeah, I know.
That's gonna be kind of scary, honestly.
Yeah, that's gonna be a even different kind of test for I'm anxious to see because like Keldon Johnson is a strong guy, but Kawhi Leonard is a smart enough guy. Like Kawhi Leonard will just put you on his back and just break you down for 48 minutes. It's like can you be strong in the fourth quarter after I've already just like put you through the ringer for 3 quarters straight? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see like that. Like Paul George is a great world-class player. I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but also like we've seen the path to beating Paul George through many different avenues.
Yeah.
So
hopefully we play pandemic P instead of playoff.
Instead of preseason P.
Yeah, preseason P. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah. We've seen the origins of Kawhi Leonard, so we know what he brings to the table. I don't know if we have to talk so much about it.
A guy who can do it all.
Exactly.
He's not the greatest playmaker, but he can still play make when he really needs to. So it's not bad either.
Yeah, and we saw it in a game like the Lakers where it's like when it came, we held tight with them all game, but then when it came down to making plays, like there was like that 3-minute stretch where AD just goes off in the one-on-one, like 3 back-to-back, hits a couple jump shots, hits like you know what I mean? Like, so that can easily happen in a 2-minute span. Kawhi Leonard goes on an 8-0 run, and now we're out of the game. You know what I mean? So, I think we recognize that, and stopping that is like priority number one, obviously. But like, when we talk about beating a team like this, it's like, how are we gonna? If we talk about us getting broken down over the course of 3 quarters, it's like, how are we going to try to break them down over the course of the game to try to pull out a win at the end? You know what I mean? I did ask this question, which is like, is depth the answer? Is our bench versus their bench going to be something that we have the advantage of? So that's something that we definitely could take a look at. But go ahead, Jake. What were you going to say?
In my opinion, like the best way that we're going to be able to beat this Clippers team is Paul George. If Paul George gets his due, then it's going to be way harder for us to win. But if
we have to make him work, and
that's what I'm saying. Like
both of them, Kawhi and Paul George.
Which, yeah, you're right. We have to make both of them work. But I feel like Kawhi is going to be able to get his points. Like it's crazy. I watched us playing Kawhi over these last couple of years, and like it looks like that man scores 2 points in like the first 2 quarters, and then at the end of the game, I'm looking at it, and he's got his 28, 29, and I'm like, what? Where did he get those extra 20, 26 points? Mm-hmm. And it just happens. It just happens. He just gets his bucket.
Quiet. That's how he rolls. He's a quiet superstar.
And so then for me, like, I think the way that we're gonna have to beat this team is to keep Paul George out of it. Keep him as much as we can out of this game. We do not let Paul George go off for 30. If he does, then I don't see us having a great
Yeah,
a great
and
game
I watched that the Clippers. I think it was game one, right? The Clippers
versus the
LA game,
Lakers.
right? And honestly, Kyle Kuzma. I can't remember if it was the second or third quarter, but Kyle Kuzma checked into the game. They put him on Paul George, and Paul George went like on 11-0 run by himself. Like he attacked Kuzma, and Kuzma couldn't do nothing. And I'm
Exactly.
hoping that he doesn't. I don't know who will throw out there that he would just torch like that. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, like you're saying, Jake. Because man, as soon as they put Kuzma in front of him, they just cleared. They cleared, and Paul George was going at that guy.
So I love PG. I know these last couple of years have not been pretty for him because he likes to talk. But I'll still be a good PG fan as much as I can be, at least, right?
You got him. You got the PGs.
I do got the PGs. I got some PGs in my closet right now. But I feel like our biggest threat is going to be Paul George in this game, and then like Chris was saying in his question of the depth, I think this team is solid. It has a solid depth. Last year, including me, like everybody was saying that this Clippers team was gonna win because of the depth. Like this deep roster could win a championship, but we don't know if it's gonna fit right again.
Yeah, it looks a little different than last year, though.
It does look a little bit different.
It
It looks like it fits better than last year's does, for sure.
Because Trez, we just played Trez, and he played a hell of a lot better than we saw him play in the playoffs with the Clippers.
Yeah, and I think players coming off the bench like Reggie Jackson. I know a lot of people aren't too high on him, and I think that he kind of did put up a little bit of empty stats in Detroit, but I still think that he's a solid little backup. It's not like he's a garbage time point guard, right? But he can do a little bit of everything. Doesn't play
and do these
terrible
guys,
at one thing.
When Jake stepped off of the screen for a little bit, Josh had mentioned the Lakers wanting to they start AD and LeBron, and then after that they make sure that one of them is on the floor at all times. Did the Clippers kind of do that with Paul George and Kawhi?
I think so.
Yeah, I think they do that.
And then probably in their opening and their closing lineup features both.
Mm-hmm.
So then Reggie Jackson just kind of has to be a guy who can start some offense, swing, find people in open spots, and then hit a jump shot if Kawhi or Paul is finding him. You know what I mean? So
yeah, for sure. And then obviously they have a tenacious defensive guard in Patrick Beverly. He goes crazy on defense. He does whatever he can.
Was it him and DJ kind of got into some squabbles when we played him last year, or no? I could have sworn it was Beverly and somebody.
I was gonna mention that. I was hoping that DJ could keep his temper in check.
Oh.
As far as Pat, because you know how Pat gets and how he frustrates players, and DJ. I feel like DJ got that little spark. We seen it in the James Harden, a couple of years back. So
I think if I remember correctly, maybe it was just like a real quick glance of maybe DJ having the ball and maybe the whistle gets blown and Pat's still trying to swipe at it or something like that, and DJ kind of just laughing it off or something. I think that might be the exchange that's playing in my head. But I just remember there being some little baby thing about that kind of happened last year. So like you said, it's a given with Beverly that that's a part of his game. Right?
He's gonna try to eat at you.
Yeah, so it's that is something to deal with. Batum's been having I would say a serviceable year, right, so far since coming to the Clippers. Again, it's everybody talks about his horrific contract and stuff like that. But I mean, he was a great role player when he was with Portland, and so I could definitely see him fitting into that role over here too. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Not needing to be anything extra, but being he can definitely shoot. He's a smart guy. So but I mean do you think that our roster can in terms of our second unit kind of match up well with Reggie and with Kana, or who else is kind of going to be running with their second unit? Do you think?
Mm,
I mean,
Lou,
a lot of these younger
Oh,
guys.
yeah, Patrick Patterson.
Obviously, Lou Williams is going to be an engine for them on their bench.
yeah, for sure.
So I mean, I think if we can get if they're going to have Williams, we are going to need Patty to get some shots off on the second unit. I
We're
still
gonna
think
have to
we
attack Lou on that second unit for
yeah
sure.
who knows, maybe Rudy, one thing I love about Rudy Gay, and Sean Elliott says this a lot, is that Rudy like knows when he can sniff out those mismatches, and he can sniff out those opportunities. And so maybe against some of these younger guys, he has a little bit of those moments of like, oh, I know exactly kind of what position to put you in. You know what I mean? And I think Rudy's good for that. So hopefully this is on the second unit, kind of speaking. Hopefully this is a good game for Rudy to kind of have some efficient points versus the 15 points on 16 shots or whatever it was.
For sure.
All right. Well, let's kind of keep pushing then. That is on the 5th. Then 2 days later, on the 7th, we
Got the Lakers, right?
we see him right back again for the third time and for the final time this year. So I do want to ask the question. I do want to ask the question. With this being the season series finale. If it doesn't have to be a bunch. If you could just name like one thing, like what would you want to see different from the 2 games that you've seen so far, to try to. I would love to end the season series as 2-1. I think they swept us last year in the season series. So, Josh, let's start with you.
Yeah, hopefully we get LA back and we just have a little bit more size, right?
Sure.
That'll help us a lot. That way we won't see it as much on the boards. Even though that Mark, what did he score 0 that game? He's still on the boards and he gives up a little bit more offense. LA does. So hopefully we get LA back and we could still play our style of ball that we've been playing without him, and he fits in there somewhere. Hopefully Pop does a good job or LA does a good job, whoever, just fitting into his role and knocking down some shots. So I'm hoping that he comes back and gives us a little boost with Derek. I'm hoping that he's not out for too long. We talked about how he's not playing today. I don't know if he just re-aggravated his toe or he's resting it. Maybe I couldn't tell you, but hopefully he's back, and hopefully hopefully LA makes that difference that in the second game, because we lose 14 the first game, 6 points the second game. Hopefully this game it goes our way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Jake?
What would I want to see to change? Just honestly, like a little bit of a better defensive schemes, really. I want to see us have better transition defense and have us not have as many defensive breakdowns. We didn't really talk about it that much, but I know there were a ton of times where I saw Dennis Schroeder take a wide open shot, or I saw Wes Matthews in the first game take a wide open shot, and I think if we can fix our defensive schemes for that third game, then I think we'd actually have a way better game, a way better chance of winning.
Cool. Yeah, and I'm kind of the same. Just like little things. I would like to see Lonnie Walker join the party a little bit in terms of like we're just gonna need. I just need him to shoot more. I just need Lonnie to shoot more. I mean, like we saw that one. It was like he was 1 for 9, right? He was 1 for 9 for his field goal attempts, which 9 is pretty low. But then when you look at like his 3-point attempts, it was like 0 for 1 or something like that. It was like, okay, Lonnie, like we just need you to take more.
For sure.
We need you to take
could
more.
be doing off the bench.
Yeah, well, I mean, and again, when Derek White comes back, then we'll be able to kind of really. I think it would be cool. Yeah, Lonnie and Derek on the second unit, Keldon and Derek White on the first unit.
I feel like that'd be nasty, man.
Yeah,
and honestly, with the way that
Lonnie and Derek on the first end,
Lonnie and Derek on the second unit, DJ and Keldon on the first unit. If I said that wrong, I apologize.
I was like, what the hell?
Honestly, like with the way Patty's playing too, like even if Patty's not getting those if he's not getting those starter minutes, like if I see a starting lineup of DJ and Patty, and depending on the game too, like if we're playing against 2-star guards, I don't want to see Patty out there playing against or defending a star out there, right?
Donovan
But
Mitchell.
right, exactly.
Do it.
But if the lineup's right, and we match up well, I wouldn't be upset if I saw Patty starting, especially with the way he's been playing this year. And maybe if we do this too, like obviously DJ and Derek aren't superstars, but what if we did run it kind of how teams run their stars? We started DJ and Derek, and then let DJ go out and let Derek still run with the second unit.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be upset seeing that either.
And we kind of already do that with like DeMar DeRozan. He kind of bleeds into a lot of the lineups. So yeah, it would be cool if like we just kind of have like an amalgamation of Derek White and DeJounte Murray at all times, and also sometimes you'll see them both, but for sure you'll always see one. Yeah, I think that's the best. All right, so I don't think. Yeah, I don't think. I just want to see Linus shoot more. That's all I want to see for the LA stuff. I think we're trending in the right direction. Our deficit got smaller from the first game to the second. I think our philosophies got better. We got less timid. Now, who knows? They might come out, and now that they have a couple days to see what we were doing, it might be a whole new struggle that we got to worry about. But I'm excited to kind of see. Because this has been one of my favorite things about the NBA season so far is having the opponents back to back, having the opponents right next to each other. I think is so fun to be able to see adjustments, and it strengthens my belief in like what I had said during our first episode, which is I think playing the Lakers 2 games next to each other bodes way better for us than playing them months apart from each other in terms of trying to get a regular season win against a team like that. So unfortunately, we weren't able to pull out either one of those the first time, but I we'll be ready for the battle again when we see them on the 7th. All right, so I don't think we have to talk too much about the Lakers. We just saw them, and then brings us to our last game for this week. Is the first of a doubleheader. So we will see on the 9th, we will see the Minnesota Timberwolves, and then we will also see them on the 10th. The 10th is a Sunday, so that'll be our next, our HHC number 5. So we'll be here on the 10th to kind of talk about what we saw on the 9th, and then kind of preview, what adjustments or what do we think about the Timberwolves. As we get ready for that second game that they'll play on the 10th. But I will be honest with you guys. Like I haven't really watched too much Timberwolves ball this year.
Yeah, me neither, man. Me neither.
Yeah, right. So we can pull up their lineup real quick. Actually, I think Jake already has it up. So we'll take a look at their roster. We'll give them just kind of a real quick little rundown. So Jake. Yeah, you see them scrolling. Obviously, yeah. They have Anthony Edwards, but go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, so obviously they got their star point guard, D'Angelo Russell. I love D'Lo. Always been a very big fan of him, even when he was a Laker. But I just love D'Lo. I love what he does, stuff like that. They have their superstar center and Cat, and then their good old number 1 pick in Anthony Edwards, right? So obviously this is a young team still. They have a lot of solid guard play coming out of Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, and even Malik Beasley, who was I think a Nugget last year, but got traded to the Timberwolves halfway through the year. Same thing for Juancho, Mr. Juancho Hernangomez.
Mr. Juancho.
And then
and what is these guys' record currently?
Their record. Let's see if we can find it on here. I couldn't tell you right now.
All right.
It doesn't have the records on here. Oh,
they're 2-3.
2-3 losses.
Yeah, 2-3 losses.
Okay.
And so obviously like this isn't a team that looks super crazy. They have a really solid defensive guard in Josh Okogie. I think If I remember correctly, last year this was a solid little 1-2 punch because D'Lo was a solid offensive player and Josh Okogie played solid defense. So uh, I expect to see some of that again this year. But at the same time, uh, I wonder how they run their guard rotations, especially with a guy like Anthony Edwards on their team now.
I think is Anthony Edwards coming off the bench?
I would hope not. Like I'd assume that it's probably D'Lo, Anthony Edwards, and then whoever their forwards are, with Cat at the 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Um,
you're right.
and then obviously they have a very good veteran point guard coming off the bench in Ricky Rubio, um, to be a nice playmaker, nice not a crazy defensive guard, but a solid defensive guard to say the least. Malik Beasley is probably gonna be doing some wonders for them off the bench. Depending on what we can do defensively, he might be a problem with our second unit, honestly.
Yeah, especially with a smart point guard with him.
Exactly. So he could be really good for them. Let's see. I can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head on what they really do. I know Jake Layman's kind of solid for them.
Yeah, I look at half this roster. I'm like, who the hell is that guy?
So Ed Davis is also a veteran center who's he's probably a decently solid center coming off the bench, but I wouldn't say he's anything crazy.
Yeah. I would put this in the same vein as like the Memphis game of just like they got young pieces, but I think that we should have enough to corral the people we need to corral, play smart, and kind of do enough to beat a team like this. I put on there on the caption when I threw them up there. It says Bubble Watch, just because this is a small market team. This is a team that's kind of in a similar position as us in terms of probably going to be fighting for that. Yeah, having to work through a lot of growing pains, trying to figure out who's going to be like the leaders moving forward. Having really good pieces. Obviously, they have a big piece in Cat. Plus, Anthony Edwards is a number one pick. So I mean, they have. So exactly. So they've been experiencing a little bit more of like the bottom of the league, which is why they've been having a lot of good players or good high picks and stuff like that. So, at what point are they going to be able to turn it around? We're not sure, but that puts them right around the same spot as us. So I kind of treat all of these like bubble teams and just like I would treat like the division games this year. Like I just think we need to win all of them. Like there's no wiggle room in my opinion. Like I was pretty frustrated about losing to New Orleans because it was a division game and it was a winnable game, even though we were playing crappy all night. It's like, yo, get your heads together for like a 4-minute stretch and see what kind of wonders it'll do for you. You know what I mean? So what I'm looking for this game is just to see like what is our execution going to be like that kind of stuff. Like Pop always kind of talks about like it's not, or Tim used to always say all this time too. Like we don't really focus on them, we focus on us, kind of thing. And so like when it comes to like these kind of games, this is kind of what I do too. It's like, all right, what we can talk about what they have all day, but really it's like, what are we gonna do? You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where my head is at for this game at least.
For sure. I definitely think I think that this is a super important game, especially like same thing with like the Pelicans, stuff like that, because we're all teams that are kind of fighting, like even though this is the beginning of the season, like you never know, this we could finish this year with like the same record as the Timberwolves or the Pelicans, but because we lost that one game against them early in the season, we're not going to make that puts them that one game above us.
And when in an early season like this, when you see like the Nuggets starting off 1-4, like that makes a big difference, man.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? So like that's why and we saw it. We've seen it the past. We as a Spurs fan, we've seen it many seasons, but we've seen it for sure in the past 2 years. The few losses separated where we stood in the bubble setting in terms of the playoff play-in situations, and then the year before, the few losses changes how we stand going into the playoffs as a 7 seed versus going in like a 5 or a 4, or whatever. So it's just another year of like it matters, man. All of these games matter. So But I don't know. Does anybody have anything else to add in terms of what they want to see? This is also just another opportunity to kind of get to know some of these younger players
Yeah,
from
so
those
so I
Timberwolves.
think I'll have more to say obviously on Sunday.
Yeah, a week from now.
After we get to see these guys play once, and then obviously we'll preview them for that night. But I want to see these guys play because I don't really want to talk too much out of my butt because I don't really know too much of these guys.
Yeah.
Other than Kat and D'Lo and Anthony Edwards, just from what I saw like in all the draft preview and everything like that. So I'm gonna give these guys a watch obviously whenever they play San Antonio later on down the week, and then I should have some more to say. Obviously.
All right. Yeah, sounds good. Jake, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not the most knowledgeable about these guys either, but other like what I can talk about is that Cat's not a defensive center. D'Lo's not a defensive guard. I was talking about Josh Okogie, but that's only one player, and I think that their defense is going to be something that we can definitely attack. It'll definitely be a huge factor in whether or not we get a good win against them.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Jake. All right, cool. Well then, if that's the case, let's go ahead and start to wrap up a little bit. We have talked about our 4 games that we're going to see for this week. Again, I'll run them down. We have the Jazz on the 3rd, which is today. We have the Clippers on the 5th, the Lakers on the 7th, and then we'll close out that week with the Minnesota Timberwolves on the 9th. All right, so let's real quick out of those 1, 2, 3, 4 games. What are our win-loss predictions for the week?
Well, we were all wrong last week, right?
Yeah, we were.
We were 0, what did we go, 0-3?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
this week
we were all wrong.
Yeah. This week I'm gonna say, man, I want to say 3-1. I want to say 3-1. Man, I wouldn't be surprised if we split them. I hope we don't lose those back-to-back games in LA. But obviously, those are top-tier teams. They're the champs, and what we all thought would be the champs last year, and the Clippers. So I'm gonna say 3-1.
All right.
I hope we get that revenge game against the Lakers. So I guess I say we'll lose to the Clips.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. All right, Jake. What about you?
Yeah, I've always been last week I was the one that said that we were gonna go 1-2, and I even said that there was a good chance that we could have even gone like winless and stuff like that, because
Did you say
never
that,
know.
Jake? I'm gonna go back and watch.
Maybe I was saying that it's just easy for us to either go 2-1 or 1-2, right? And it's the same thing this week. It could very easily go. We could very easily go 3-1, 4-0, or we could go 0-4 this week. I think for sure the game against the Timberwolves is a very winnable game. From what I've saw against the Lakers, I don't know about our chances against them again. Maybe LaMarcus comes back and he starts going on a tear, in which case then, yeah, we can beat the Lakers. But I would have to say that we're probably going to go 2-2, but also leaning on the fact that we could probably go 1-3 this week.
All right, Jake. I'm gonna need you to say if you think we're gonna go 2-2.
2-2.
Or
2-2. 2-2.
All right. Originally, I was gonna go 3-1 also, just because. I mean, again, when I think about them on game-to-game basis, it's like, all right, are these winnable games? I think we can beat the Jazz. I think we can beat the Timberwolves, and it's the same as Josh. Like, all right, can we realistically split in the 2 games from LA? I think we can. I honestly feel like we can. I feel like we can beat the Clippers. I can see us beating the Clippers more than I can see us beating the Lakers, if that makes sense. So,
Me too.
Since we haven't, now we do have plans we do have plans of like having some graphics and kind of keeping count of our predictions as the season goes on, and kind of just saying how right or wrong we were. But since we haven't started that yet, I'll be still on the optimistic side, and I'll put us at 3-1 also. And also because we need to win. You know, I mean, if we keep stacking 1-3s and 0-3s and 1-2s, and then it's not going to look good on our record real soon. So yeah, I think we split. I think we split versus LA and LA, and then we'll win both the outer games. That'll be what I say.
Yeah, and keep in mind that like I'm the one that said that like we're probably not going to be going to the playoffs. Josh was the one that's saying that he is going to that they are going to the playoffs. So, like, I think that I'm honestly not super upset over some of these losses, but at the same time, there's a couple things that like I just want to see improvement.
We talked about that, right? About the young guys, like maybe winning us a couple of these games, those close games that we lost, in the previous year. So I'm hoping that as we go forward, it shows. Like Keldon almost, I'm not gonna say he almost won it for us, but 26 from Keldon, I wasn't expecting him to go off like that,
And so far we've been seeing 25s, 26s, like new highs for our young guys, but in losses. DJ. But during losses. So I think we're ready to start to see the other side of that, which is like the 20, like Keldon Johnson leads the Spurs to victory with 25 points and whatever.
And once we start, we've played like some top tier teams, in the last couple of days. So like once we start playing, and I don't mean to throw like the teams under the bus, but once we get in like to the Clevelands and the people that are down there, like when our guys show up in those games, man, those are going to be games that we lost.
I don't know, man. Like you've. I don't know if you've watched any of those games, but
like Andre Drummond, I've seen what he's been doing, and I've seen he's been going on. But as far as like
land, like it's going crazy over there. It's going crazy.
I don't want to talk about those two guys.
Colin Sexton and Darius Garland. They're
I know
guards that have been going crazy this.
But I'll take watching everybody. Like I'm taking our guards, and it's biased, but I'm taking our guys over those guys. Like
it's not even like I won't take DJ Derrick or over somebody like Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, but it's still like like you just like even those bottom teams, the New York Knicks have been killing it, and like what are we gonna do when we go play New York? And freaking Julius Randle.
We've talked about this at the beginning of the season, which is which is like every team has youth and athleticism. Like that is starting to become a given. You know what I mean? But it's like our discipline and our execution and our coaching and our what I mean? Like that. Like
we have the guy too. Like on the other, like on the vet, like we have the vet that could take advantage of some of those youth matchups.
Yeah.
Like DeMar, like whenever he gets going, like we keep talking about the young guys, and we're not even talking about DeMar. Like DeMar closes these games out. Like he's a closer, man. That guy's clutch. And we've seen it in San Antonio since he's been here. He's been closing these games out. And I think that like, yeah, we talk about our young guys and we want the young guys to play well, but like DeMar. And even though he hasn't had like his shooting, like I think you pointed out, right? He hasn't been shooting that good, and we've been in all these games, So I'm hoping that he'll pick it up percentage wise, and he'll close them out for us.
I think for sure. Once we start to get a little bit more idea of like where our young guys are really going to fit in, I think right now a lot of that experimentation comes at the expense of some of DeMar's touches or just some of his. His time and the things that he normally like is getting done working throughout the game to put himself in positions to like be hot and feeling good about his spacing and feeling, knowing where his spots are for the night, like when it comes time to win the game. So I think that like some of those things he has to acquiesce a little bit to our young guys just to let them feel more comfortable and everything. So yeah, no, I agree. We haven't been talking about DeMar, but man, not only is he putting up numbers, but if you've watched him play in San Antonio for the past 3 years or so, like he's just such a better player now in terms of like how he's helping everybody and all that kind of stuff. And he still has his moments where an emotional outburst will take himself out of the play or put us in a bad position or whatever. But the Spurs have been living and learning to understand like their players, and like Manu had things about him that made you want to rip your hair out, and you learn to take all of them. So I think we've been doing that with DeMar now for the past couple of years. So yeah, he's been holding it down for us for sure, especially if we're going to be getting more in and out from LA in terms of his health or any of that kind of stuff. Then more kudos to DeMar for stepping in and just being real consistent for us, like since he showed up.
For sure. And I only just want to add this to what or kind of contrast from what Josh was saying. Like yeah, you're talking about like our vets and stuff like that, which is all nice, and it is going to be able to beat some of the young teams, but like the young teams that are on the lower end, like there are going to be those times where we do lose to a team that's fighting for that 8th seed because their young team and like they have a young player that's going to be a superstar, like or even like a team that has a solid mix of young players and vets, like honestly like this Utah team, and I think that we have a good chance at beating them, but like they have a solid mix, they have a good mix of young players that bring the energy, that bring the tenacity for them, and then they have some vets that hone it in, bring it in to help finish things out.
Yeah.
So
I agree. There's a lot of teams that are in very similar positions as us, right? So it's like, all right, what are we going to do to stand out and to take some of those matches from them? So all right, guys, I think that's a good time. We spent we're at the almost 2 hour mark. So our shows have been getting like about an hour and a half. Now we're at an hour and 50, and not to say that we don't like it. We kind of originally had set aside the idea of having 10 to 12 kind of blocked off, but sometimes our shows will run depending on how many games we have to talk about and all that kind of stuff. So, but we spent a good time talking about the week we had, the 0-3, some of the things that we want to see kind of switching up so we can get some more wins as we look ahead to these next 4 games. So. I think that's a good time, a good place to kind of wrap up for the week. I'm very excited that we were able to do episode 4. We do want to get into our rhythm. This is now our second Sunday in a row. So thank you to everybody who has been watching. We've had some people in and out over the course of the 2 hours. And then we have had some people kind of check us out on the replay, like both on our Facebook page as well as on the YouTube page. And then we haven't done too much promoting of like the actual show yet. We'll get better at kind of spreading our word and all that kind of stuff. But I think for now we're just enjoying kind of getting the organization part together and kind of sitting with each other and working our way through the Spurs season. So if you've enjoyed kind of seeing our show kind of tweak and change a little bit, if you've enjoyed kind of any of our camaraderie or our conversation, we'd love to have you stick with us throughout the rest of the season. But that'll do it for us for episode 4. We will be back next Sunday, on the 10th to give a recap for these 4 games that are going to happen, and then we'll push you ahead again, and we're just going to keep on walking like that, straight down to whatever we
Straight to the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly. That's the goal, right? Is to hopefully be able to talk about weeks where we're winning 3 games, where we're going 3-0 or 4-0 or 4-1 or 3-1 or whatever. So that's the goal as we move forward. So we appreciate anybody who came in and listened to us again during our 4th episode of HHC. Jake, any closing words before we sign off?
Don't be upset if we're in the lottery, Josh.
Oh my God! Shut up.
All right, Josh, anything?
No, man. Go Spurs, go! I'm pushing for this 3-1. Hoping for 4-0. We're not going to be in the lottery, and the Cowboys play in like 10 minutes. So, go Cowboys!
There you go. Yeah, same. Looking for that 3-1. Maybe I'll just be the one who stays optimistic and takes the L's all year long or something like that.
That's going to be me for sure. I'm like always.
Oh, for sure.
I'm always so high on us, and Jake is so low, and I just want to fight.
No, I'll never don't take away any of my love for the Spurs just because I said that we're not going to be a winning team.
I don't
It
want to
does
hear
not make me a hater. It just makes me
I don't wanna hear
realistic.
You're realistically a hater.
All right, guys. We'll keep fighting. We'll let them keep going backstage. But we're gonna sign off for today, and we will see you guys next week on the 10th at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Central. Again, we go live on Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube all at once. So go ahead and check us out there. We are pretty active throughout the week, like and during the games and like around game time and stuff like that, like on the Twitter account. So go ahead and check. If you have been seeing us on a weekly basis on Sunday, we want to have a place for people who maybe didn't get a chance to watch the Spurs game. They can come and kind of they can come and get a little, get caught up a little bit. But also, if you're the type who likes to be in the action and all that kind of stuff. I like to tweet out a little bit from the Twitter account, like during the Spurs games. We did have during our opening night, Jake did a takeover of the timeline during that day. Thanks to him for doing that. That was a lot of fun watching him do that. And then if you can find Josh and you can find Jake on their individual Twitter accounts too, just to give in their general Spurs takes as the game's going along too. So a lot of ways to kind of reach out to us and kind of get into the conversation. But that's definitely something that we want to do. We want to keep pushing more Spurs talk in as many ways as we can. So join us wherever we're at. But thanks for showing up for this week's episode, and we will see you guys next Sunday on the 10th. All right, go Spurs, go. We'll see you. All right, peace.